And why is it that I don't even want to feel? Hi guys, this podcast explores the importance of our connection, well-being and mental health. To reason with someone is to motivate them to do or accept topics, ideas and issues through discussion and having conversations. This podcast is for those that want to raise their awareness, change their perspective or just have a good time. My vision is to help people find reason to live, to grow and to understand. I do that through this podcast as well as counselling individuals that want to help themselves.
No, he needs to know.
I just think he's gonna talk and it's gonna make a lot of sense.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
One man, one podcast. 3, 2, 1.
Reason With Me podcast, episode 2.
It's time.
All right. Welcome back. Episode 2. Crazy. So, if you haven't listened to episode 1, go check it out. It's just as good as this one, I guess. So, today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. Originally we talked about connection in the first episode, talking about how important it is to connect with each other, and that sort of thing just really, resonates with me, because if I don't connect, I don't do well. I need to look after myself, and a big part of that means connecting with my friends, my family, my counselors, my supervisors, and my team, and that stuff's just so vital in terms of keeping me well. Now today we're going to talk about something a little bit different, takes a little bit of a complete opposite turn, actually. So what we're going to talk about is addiction. Now I say something quite a lot. It's about the opposite of connection is addiction. And the way to get through sometimes with addiction is to connect, is to refigure out what it is that you haven't been looking after, and reconnecting with that, whether it's reconnecting with yourself or reconnecting with others. Currently, I work for an organization called Odyssey House. Now it's a drug and alcohol service, and I'm the coordinator of a team out there that looks at treating addiction and looks at the lives of people that are struggling with drugs and alcohol and any other addiction that they face, and about really zoning in and figuring out what that's about, where that comes from, and just understanding it as best we can. And it's tough. It's hard work, for someone to come forward and look at that stuff's really intense for them. And they've been doing that their whole lives, coping or figuring out how to survive, and I guess it stops working, and there's more consequences, and there's more cons than pros, if you will. So yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about today. And again, I'm wearing this shirt by a brand called Living, and I went and bought all their stuff because I really like them. I think that they're a clothing label, which is such a cool idea in terms of promoting mental health and reducing suicide prevention, which is what they do. And their concept is about living, and it's about being and saying it's not weak to speak. That's the concept behind their work, and the idea of, we all matter. And, I'm a huge supporter of them. And yeah, big shout out to them. Their clothes are really cool too. For those in the video, can see me pumping my chest to see, here you go. It's just cut out of the camera just a tiny bit. But yeah, they're really cool. And I have a lot of time for them. So yeah, go check them out. I think it's living.org, and they got a cool Instagram page. They got cool podcasts and stuff as well at the moment. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into it. I'm pretty keen to talk about this stuff because it's obviously what I do pretty much day in, day out in the work at Odyssey House. I do my private practice stuff as well, but this is the primary at the moment. So we're going to talk about the relationship with addiction. From video gaming, porn and gambling, to dysfunctional eating patterns and other drugs. Addiction plays out in any behaviour that will allow temporary reward or relief. Now, I say those things other than drugs and alcohol, as it doesn't really matter what the external behavior or activity is that one pursues. The issue with addiction is the internal relationship that one has with that behavior. So it's about the relationship with the addiction. Now, addiction to activities is not actually rare. We look at repetition, patterns, and habits. This makes up everybody's world. Let's look at mobile phones. Many people have an attachment to the current technology. We're endlessly scrolling and viewing and distracting ourselves. It serves a purpose. Sometimes that's soothing, it's comforting, it's relieving. So we can start to understand this normality of life. Then we can start to understand more about those that step into the realm of addiction. Again, it's serving a purpose. It's creating difficulty to give up the behavior, despite suffering from negative consequences. Now, that's all well and good for me. So I'll talk about the guy called Gabor Mate. He's an addiction specialist. And what he said is that not all addiction is manifested in abuse or trauma, but it can all be traced back to a painful experience. He wrote a book called The Realm of Hungry Ghosts, which is accounts of different people's story in addiction. It's all good pain. Pain doesn't have to be ever present. Sometimes it lurks, or at times it's sort of hidden. But it is present in the gamer, the workaholic, the self-destructive, or the self-sabotaging. So if addiction to an activity or behavior is helping you deal with some pain, helping you deal with emotional pain, where does this pain come from? If using drugs or staring into a screen or engaging in risk-taking behaviors stops you from feeling, then why is it that I don't even want to feel? That's what I believe is important when we look at addiction. So let's look at an example. Let's take a young man who plays video games. For him, that's a source of connection. He's got an online community. He uses his brain, so it's developing his motor and cognitive skills. As well as this, it's providing, a reward and pleasure system, winning the game or killing the zombie or whatever it's about. There's a reward involved. However, let's look a little bit further into this young man's reality. Maybe there's a past upset in his family system. Perhaps an exclusion and isolation at his school. This is starting to create a difficult and discomfortable, loss of belonging, perhaps. We see this young man then start to turn to escaping into his own world, toying with this new gaming behavior. For him, it's filling a void. It's being this new activity that just makes sense for him. It serves him a purpose. And that's just video gaming. We can use the same example with any drugs, with any alcohol, with any, porn, sex, whatever. A painful experience that rushes back from time to time, causing pain, fear, and shame. We don't want it. We don't want to feel it. So then we start to try to find a place that holds it all together. Start to look at protecting ourselves from the fears of being uncomfortable, even just for that couple of hours when we're gaming. Or, until that drug starts to wear off, or until there's no more money left to gamble. It's immediate. These immediate releases can still leave a person stuck, though. Eventually leave this empty experience, feelings of hopelessness, and then starting to have thoughts about not being enough. We can understand some aspect of this process of addiction. Then we can start to find reasons and find ways to support and reach out to others. A disconnect from reality is created so one does not have to face their truths. So I'll run away so I don't have to deal with this. However, the key is we're going to look at the opposite of addiction, being connection. These behaviors and activities that we choose, yes, sure, they're giving some short-term effective relief. But those behaviors in turn eventually come with their negative consequences. A loss in connection. Whether that's a loss in connection from the important people in your life, the things that you find enjoyable go, or perhaps the most important, you lose that sense of connection with yourself. You lose yourself. So connection is the key to get out of this. The hardest step in this journey is connecting with yourself, being with this discomfort. We're not really meant to do this stuff alone. We need to find a relationship with others, whether that being professional or another person, just to be with you, connect with you, someone that relates to you. This will give your painful experience a voice that wants to be heard, seen, validated. Now, if connection is something that you want to get more familiar with and want to start giving yourself a voice, then you've captured this awareness of the next step in where you go with this. And that's about going and reaching out so that you can work with someone, whether that being professional or friends or family, so you can start to understand what it is that you are facing. Now, you might be listening to this and go, oh, that's not me. I don't have this. But bloody Bobby does. Then it changes. You go, maybe Bobby's misusing or abusing drugs and alcohol. Maybe, he's self-sabotaging and getting himself into more problems. Maybe she's dysfunctionally acting out, risk-taking behaviors, all that sort of thing. What can I do to support them? And where we start is reasoning with me right now and starting to think, what perspective do I have about addiction, about why people do things to cope? We'll look at the gym. People, I wouldn't be able to survive without the gym. I can't do it. It's like there's a healthy moderation that we need to have with everything. But there's also unhealthy moderation. There's just not moderation. Where you just go to the gym for 2 hours every single day, but if I don't go, I feel terrible about myself. That's unhealthy. So that's feeling something. It's filling a void. It's giving you a purpose, right? And that's what we need to look into. Why? What happens when I don't do it? Am I going to be okay? Where do I pull my value, my self-worth from? So I guess that's what I want to talk about today is just that concept of the relationship we have with addiction, the connection that we have to these things that are only short-term reliefs of effective relief, I guess, and looking more into what am I going to find that brings me a bit more joy, that's more sustainable, that's more long-lasting, whether that be connecting with others, whether that be learning a new skill, reaching out for support, getting professional help, wherever it might be. What's going on for me at the moment is I've got face-to-face counseling and online counseling, and I'm trying my best to be able to reach as many people with this sort of podcast. So if it is something you resonate with, and you found something that you connect to, that reach out. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to get your ideas of something that you want to reason with me about, concept, arguments, whatever it is, topic, issues, hit me up. There's going to be a few more podcasts, and I'm really keen to get your guys' thoughts on this and be able to share a message and challenge the norm and challenge our society with the way that we think. You can find me on findreasontherapy.com.au. I hope you tune in to the next one. If you haven't heard episode 1, go and check it out. All right. See you next time. Thanks. Do you want to find out more about how therapy can help you kick some goals? Go check out findreasontherapy.com.au or the Find Reason Therapy Instagram page.